Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 6, Blissed for Life. Today we are talking about you as an unconditional being. Of course, when we say the word unconditional, we start to associate it with unconditional love. We start to think of that as our primary source of access to this word unconditional. For today's purposes, let's take the word love out of the equation and let's just think about this word unconditional and what it means to be unconditional with ourselves. Conditions exist all around us. We've created conditions and constraints, and from that, we have resistance. And oftentimes, this leads to negative emotion. So, this process of setting ourselves up with conditions, saying, I would do it, but I'm not good enough. Or I would do it, but I don't have the money. I would do it, but I don't have the resources. I don't have a big enough following. I don't have all of these perceived things that you think you need. They're setting you up in a place that creates conditions. From this place of condition, you're already creating limitation. You're closing in on the spectrum of what is possible. And we want to keep that spectrum of possible as big as we can, because in doing so, we have this great opportunity to really be in touch with allowing the universe to come to us, allowing our dreams to come to us, allowing manifestation to happen in a really tangible form right in front of our eyes. But as we put conditions upon ourselves, we create barriers, and these barriers start off as the way we speak to ourselves, the way that we perceive ourselves, the way that we interact with ourselves, these conversations that we're having with ourselves. The conditions turn into our beliefs. You know, Abraham Hicks and Esther Hicks always say, a belief is just a thought that you keep thinking. So if you convince yourself that I'm poor, I'm poor, I'm poor, I'm poor, I'm poor, then what are you going to be? Poor. You're not going to be wealthy. You're not going to have abundance coming to you if you think you're poor. And it's not just going to be in a financial sense, it's going to be in every sense of the word. So as we go through and we create these conditions, we start to set up belief patterns. And these belief patterns become these huge limitations, these huge roadblocks for what we want. How often do you have a conversation with someone and they're giving you compliments, they're telling you, oh my gosh, I absolutely love what you're doing. It's fantastic work. It's magnificent. You should really get this stuff out there. And you say, yeah, I know, but I'm just really not good at talking in public. Or, yeah, I'm just really not good at technology. Or, I'm just really not good at social media. There's many of these but that come in and they limit us in such a tremendous way. So as we go about our day, as we think about an unconditional being, that's a being that's in the mode of experiencing, that's in the conscious place, which we talked about in our lesson yesterday, that's in the place of acceptance, profound acceptance, profound allowance, and just being curious, experiencing joy, perhaps experiencing love, experiencing fascination. All of these things can come in. And then we can play with creation. And as we play with creation, we start to experience ourselves as this unconditional being in the greatest sense. Because instead of us being our own worst critic, We become our own best cheerleader. And that's a really awesome place to be. It's really awesome to come to a creation and say, I don't know what the end result is going to be. And I'm okay with not knowing what it is. And then to allow that process to take life. And maybe it'll turn out totally differently than what you expected. But it's serving a purpose because you're in the moment, you're creating, you're doing something consciously, and you're doing it without conditions. You're just with it. I think art is a great modality, even if you're not an artist, especially if you're not an artist, to access this sort of unconditional place. Something that I like to do is create these little mandalas. So I start with, a little object in the center. Maybe it's a flower or a circle or a spiral or whatever it might be. And then I just create outward from there. So it expands across a piece of paper. Now, they're never perfect. The drawings are not perfect. Nothing about them is perfect. But what I like about it is I like just playing with the colors, doing something that's really out of the box of my normal day, and just being there and saying, the end result is not what matters. It's about the experience. And as I sort of create, I feel this natural energy of expansion happening. And that's the purpose of why I'm creating this. That's the purpose of why I'm integrating it. And it gives me joy. Should I be doing something else? Probably, but it gives me joy. So I'm going to hang out with it for a while. I'm going to see where it takes me. And you could do that with anything. As you go through your day, I want you to really listen for those buts. I want you to listen for the moments when you're putting a condition on yourself. And rather than continuing to have that conversation, rather than continuing with your but, stop yourself and think about, what if? It's possible? Okay, let's play with it's possible. And if we just play in that place, we can feel a lot more satisfaction. We can feel a lot more joy. And again, it's going to help us with our conscious connection to ourselves. And that's really the key. So thank you all so much. In our inner beings, our inner wisdom, our highest self, we are unconditional. To translate that into physical form could be quite a task, but the reward will absolutely be worth it. Thank you guys so much for being with me today.